Good morning, my name is James Post and I'm going to be doing a wolf head sketch tutorial for M Galleries as a pilot. And I just have a somewhat heavy textured piece of paper and a regular Bic, whatever, mechanical pencil. So let's start just with a circle here in the center. And this will be like the bulk of the head, size shape of it. And then we're gonna go over to the side and kind of imagine a nose in this spot here as another circle. You really want to break just the idea of what you want to draw down into basic forms. So an oval down there for the chin edge. And my camera's already falling over. Okay, and let's put a couple eyes in here, also as circles. So one's going to be kind of hidden by the shape of the nose a bit. That nose might have to come out a little bit farther. And then we'll imagine shape of an ear. And one on the other side, and it's blocked off by the edge of the head a little bit. So now that we have a few generalized shapes, we can start putting in more of an outline of the figures. So we'll take the chin, and kind of like two prominent mandibles, jaw scoops up, and then there's a lot of fur down kind of the side of the cheek of the wolf. Jumping up to the nose, it's kind of like triangular, or up to like upside, it's more like a square, I guess, or rhombus. And we'll put some nostrils in. And you know, when you're doing something like this, it's good to have references in front of you as an idea that you can work off of, some sort of like source images, because you can really kind of play around with them after you have the basic shape set down. So furrowed brow, a bit of the lips of the top of the nose here, snarling. And you do kind of like a, you know, for anything that is a more aggressive shape, like a snarling mouth, you want to do like abrupt edges. But there's a lot of like S-curves in all of these. Short S-curves, long S-curves. But the more kind of abrupt and strange jagged edges, I mean, this thing's going to be a strange looking wolf. We're not going for realism here, people. This is exaggerated. Put some teeth in, curved teeth, two little like half moons. And then I kind of like jump around a lot when I'm drawing. Just kind of, you can add more or less teeth depending on how many. The more teeth, you know, you get a more aggressive look maybe. Fewer teeth has, I don't know, like a cracked out look or something. Put a few more teeth in there. Now the top teeth, you see a bit of the gums. So you see the top shape of the teeth, but the bottom one, the lip kind of covers the gums, so you don't have to worry too much about that. Doubling up a line here for the bottom lip, and then when it comes up to the kind of the corner of the mouth, it just it gets hidden underneath. You don't see that upper lip going across the top in any meaningful way. And we know, like, the top of the nose bridge is going to be darker because a wolf kind of has like a lighter shape around the eyes. And then, and around like the the chin area, but then it's pretty much dark everywhere else. We're going to give him these kind of corner eye parts that frame the eye a little bit. And the more snarling he is, kind of if you look in the mirror at your own face, you scrunch up your face, you get folds that kind of like squint the eyes. You know, you can add more of them if you want more or less. It's really up to you. You can really kind of go crazy with these types of drawings, you know. Again, we're not doing realism here. We're just kind of getting a more playful version. So the tongue, do like a kind of like traditional look of a tongue where the under part curls up, like the flick of the bottom part on the jaw, and then it just kind of waves itself up a few different ways. You don't want to follow the shape exactly. You want it to be a little different. So this shape is different from this shape. This shape, they're not like following each other exactly. And if you need to correct a little bit the placement of one spot, you don't have to necessarily erase in this stage. You just kind of draw over it. That's why you're drawing relatively light with a pencil. I mean, you can correct mistakes, but you want to have everything kind of like figured out before you go into any inking. So the eyes are going to be looking at you, or looking up instead of over there. You can make the eyes look anywhere you want, of course, but creating some sort of expression or character in the kind of the expression of this wolf. It's pretty weird looking. All right, so for the fur, you're gonna have lines kind of going all in the same direction along the edge, and you can break them up a little bit. Breaking them up meaning like they're not all the same length. You already have like this one guiding line that's going to be the cheek area. And now all these fur lines can be longer, shorter. You want to, they'll look more natural if they're not all exactly the same. Do some like S shapes in here. All these lines are just little, have a little curve in them. I'm doing this kind of quick, so bear with me. All right, let's put some whiskers coming out of this thing. So a few coming out of the nose area, a couple maybe coming off the jaw, mandible, a couple off the cheek. And I mean, the more whiskers, maybe like the older the wolf looks, because these things will make it look even crazier with more age to it. So the ear, you've got like the top edge of the ear that's prominent, and then inside is kind of like the curling contour lines. Anytime you have a bunch of lines that are curving in the same way, it's suggesting a curved surface that they're following. Kind of like if you took a cylinder and you curved around the edge of the cylinder. See how like this line curves, because, and the bottom line and the top line, instead of just being flat. You do that with shading and everything else, then you get a much more modeled out shape. So put a few crazy whisker lines in here and other fur lines. And a bit of the back cheek behind the mouth. And let's go right into inking this thing out. Let's see. I don't even know what marker, if this is going to work or not. Let's try it. That's kind of dead. I'm going to use a real thick marker on this part here. So, all right, now I'm starting at, I mean, it doesn't really matter where you start with the inking, but I'm going to go from the part that is closer to me, which would be like the nose. and then work my way back so that anything that comes off of the nose section, I'll ink that so it will be in front of parts that are receding back farther, like the back of the mouth and the eye. So when these whiskers are put in, they'll be in front of all of the other things if you're gonna double line the whiskers. And again, references are always nice, but you're really thinking about the base shapes that you have and then changing the quality of your lines, meaning the jaggedness of them or the smoothness of them. I'm always thinking about that. Is fur going to have a more jagged area, or is it going to be, are they all going to move in the same direction? Now again, this is going to be pretty rough. Edge of the ear, tip of the ear there, and then the top of the ear has a hard line so that it fuzzes out on the edge with the fur, and the fur's flatter along the cartilage of the top of the ear. Going down to the lips. Give it a nice snarl. But before, see, I left a couple breaks in here because I know I want to put in some whiskers. And if I can find something to draw with, it's black. You know what? I can probably use this gray to do it just for now. Just to get ink down. So these are double lined gray whiskers. I'll just leave those for now. Go back with our teeth. The top teeth, you can see the top of them. They're closed. Taking the lip, making it nice and abrupt, jagged edges here. And the bottom lip is going to be double line. We got two edges of the mandible coming up to the cheek. That kind of like took out some of those whiskers there. S shapes, make some shorter, some longer, curved, kind of following the curve up. They all curve a little bit. And now I'm speeding this up a lot just because you can get a little more playful with it. I mean, if you want to slow down, and you don't have to make every line perfect, is what I'm trying to get at. You already have your pencil lines down, so you're gonna kind of follow along, but you don't have to follow every single pencil line for like fur, let's say. You know, maybe you want the eye to be a little bit better, a little more exact. You can slow down for that. Giving him this kind of lighter area being outlined for around the eye. And some more of these snarling, kind of furled up lips here. Gonna put in some pointy teeth. I don't know how many teeth a wolf is supposed to have, but artist licensed, you can add or subtract. You can have one tooth, really. Make it a hobo wolf. All right, so changing up the length and the direction of the lines for the fur, but you can see they're still curving all in the same general direction. You don't have them going every which way, but because all together, when you look at it, then there's like the fur just kind of like falls this way. And that helps selling it as fur. The idea of fur. And a few curls here for the tongue, kind of a weird exaggerated tongue area. Maybe we'll put a line back here for the back half of the jaw. And closing up some of these things. All right, instead of making just pointy eyes, how about we make them like curled a little bit? Two little eye drop shapes, I don't even know. More dragon looking, I think, now, doing it that way. All right. You know what? I'm just going to use this and put in single. See, we're making changes. The gray wasn't going to work for a double line for the whiskers, so I'm just going to take this nice thick marker and just drop in the whiskers where I had them. And you know, maybe those are more tiger looking, but again, artistic license. All right, so here's your general outline of this weird wolf, kind of a monstrous looking wolf. And I think we're going to stop there for part 1. And we'll color it in part 2. Thanks for watching.